Hello and welcome to a new episode of Josh's Car Corner. This is part 4 of Project E38, where I am attempting to upgrade the computer that drives the GTO to the more modern and much easier to get E38 computer. So I'm out in the garage right now working on getting the body harness disconnected and putting new connectors on the wires where I'm cutting it so I can take this section downstairs when it comes time to repin everything for the E38. I'll have this with me. So I'm getting to grips with using this special crimping tool to crimp the connectors on. So you'll see right here, I've already got 4 pins done. So these are the Delphi GT150 16 pin connectors that I ordered. So what you need to get these on is this nifty little crimping tool that my buddy Sean gave me. And you get the pins on a grid like this. And it's a bit of a faff to get all this on. So I'll grab the camera and bring it up close to show you what it takes to put these little pins on the wires and insert them into the connector. So first off, because I'm going to have to use 2 of these connectors, I went ahead and got a label maker so I could label them. So I've got my X1, which I'm working on now, and I'll label the other one X2. So this is the little chart I made that I'm going off with to show what I have done and where I want to put things. So this is where I decided the pins will go on the new connectors as I put them in, and this is where they live now on the body harness connector. Now the reason I'm going through it like this is I have to go one at a time because Holden, for either reasons of we use what we could get our hands on or because they just wanted to do it as cheaply as possible, used the same color wires over and over in this part of the harness. So there ends up being 4 wires that are just brown, 3 wires that are just yellow, 2 wires that are just green, 3 wires that are just purple, and 2 wires that are just gray. So you can't just cut them and know what you're cutting. So for those particular wires, what I'll have to do is cut them. So that one. Then I've got to get my voltmeter out and do a continuity check with the pins over here and figure out which one I just cut, so I know where it's going on here. So what I'm doing initially is I'm just putting, because I have the X1 connector here, I'm just doing the ones that I was going to put on the X1 connector that are unique and I know where they're going. So I have a few left to do. I've done what are my pins 1, 2, 3, and 5, and I've got a few more to do here. So let me show you what it takes to put one of these guys on. So the next one on my list is going to be my pin 7, which is part of the throttle pedal. So it's part of the TAC module. So this is the ground wire going back for part of it. So it's white with black stripe, and it's the only one like that. So I know I've got the right one. You only have to strip just a little bit of it where it's going to go into the connector. Just like that. This back part is what crimps the wire down and holds it. So these inner pins right here, that is what wraps itself around the copper. Now I will show you how we crimp it. The other part about this I forgot to mention is because this is a sealed connector, you've got these little weather sealing grommets that you have to put on before you put the pin on. And don't forget to do that part because otherwise you're doing the whole thing over again. So the pin is now in the tool, and this is a ratcheting tool, so it's actually locked in right now. The pins are actually just a hair too wide for the thing. So if we look right here, you can see that on this end, the contacts that are going to hold the copper are a little past it. So what I do is I actually push the whole pin back until those contacts are all the way in the tool, and then these ones in the back stick out just a little bit. And then later on, once I've got the contacts for the copper compressed down properly, then I'll come back, move the pin a little further forward and squeeze those down. Okay, unfortunately, it's a little difficult to hold the camera and do this, so I'll just have to show you the end result of what one looks like here. So see how those contacts inside have got the copper. So you just get the copper just a hair past it, and you can see there's still plenty of copper exposed behind it too, so you're not grabbing jacket with the inside ones. And then those inside ones crimp around and grab the jacket. So how you have to do it is the wire goes in on the side with the writing. So if you look on the bottom here, the bottom jaws, there are these landing platforms on this thing. Then you crimp it down like this really slowly, and then as it comes down, it folds the pins in and squeezes everything shut. Now you can see these holes are all different sizes. So what I do is I start with the hole for 20 gauge, which is the third hole there. And then once I've done it once, I go back one to the second hole, which is 22 gauge, and then I crimp it again. So now I've got my copper crimped, then I take it loose, then I push the pin in a little farther more so I can get those back ones fully in the tool, and then I crimp it a third time, and then this is your end result. A nice, clean pin crimp. And the way these go in is if you look at the connector, there are little fingers in there. Those are what hold the connector in, and the connector or the pin always goes in with this open side face down because the pins, the plastic pins, grab it right at the back there where it's cut. See how it slopes back on the other side? So the pin grabs it right there. All right, you just push it till it clicks and it's in there. Now there's actually this little purple cover that covers this side up, but this pops off on the female side so you can actually see the pins go in and lock in. It doesn't do that on the male side, so the pins just protrude out and you see that they've come through, but you hear that same click when you put them in, and they go in the same way with the tang side down so the plastic finger can grab them. Okay, my first connector is done. A couple things I learned about these connectors. So this is the little purple piece that you snap in that A, separates the pins, and then B, it pushes all the seals into the holes to seal everything up. You have to kind of work it from one side to the other. You get one side locked in, and then you got to get in there with some kind of tool and just push really hard on the middle section, because it'll force all of those little seals in place, because without that, you can't get the other side locked in. So you just got to kind of work your way left to right with pressure to lock it in. So, and then here's the other side. So this is what it looks like when you put the other piece back on. So all the pins are covered up. And then, yeah, all I got to do is just take these two, I'll just do this quick. Take these two pieces, snap them together like that. And then you get the little locking pin to secure lock it. So there, now it is together. So that's 16 down, 16 to go. Okay, I finally got all the pins put in the connectors, but I do have a couple of problems I have come across that I need to show you. So first off, the connectors did not come with the same pieces. So this is the first connector I completed. And if you look, it's got these pink separators and locking tabs. What these do is lock in all the seals that you press on to the wires to weather seal everything. So this is another 16 pin connector just like that one, but these little pieces that it came with have only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pin slots per side. They're only for a 14 pin connector. So these are wrong. So I'm going to have to get in contact with the guy who sold me these things and get replacements, because these will not work. The other problem I came across is taking this apart. I found out that there are not 33 wires in this thing. There are actually 34. So you can see right here, there's 2 wires turned around. So this green wire right here with the blue stripe, that is the park neutral safety switch wire, which, because I have a manual transmission, does nothing. That was the 33rd wire I was talking about. But there was also another wire that is right here, this white wire. This wire is not mentioned in the service manual, on the GM tech line documents, anywhere. What it is it is the wire for the evap purge canister relay that goes to the back of the car. I had to look in the wiring harness for a 2005 Corvette to even figure out what the heck that wire did. They just completely dropped the ball, and I'm guessing it's because Holden doesn't use emissions controls like we do. They don't have the evap canister, and they just used the Holden wiring diagrams for the Pontiac service manual and didn't bother to update it. So I ended up with an extra wire. So this leaves me with a problem, because again, I only have 32 total pins available to me on these connectors. So now I have to reroute another wire. So that's what this purple with white stripe one is. This goes to the clutch pedal position sensor. So because that is just tucked in right here under the steering column, and there is this other wiring loom that goes back in this hole back here, and it's got open pin slots on it, what I'm going to just do is reroute the wire from the clutch pedal position sensor up through this wiring loom here, and I've even got some pins to put into empty slots on the connector, and then it will come up here and go to the ECU, eliminating the path that they used here, which goes here all the way across the dash, up, all the way back. That wire will just lay there and do nothing now. So that's going to do it for this episode. I'll do another episode soon where I'll get back to work on the engine harness. But until then, thanks for watching Josh's Car Corner, and we'll see you soon.